The Adventures of Fembot Sally, written by Samantha Faulkner, narrated by Alison Campbell.
I, Fembot. Nobody notices a pretty girl in a miniskirt when she is humping around a great big tea trolley. The choice of hair colour is important here. Pert and blonde may well attract attention, but a pert brunette can easily slip under the radar. I have been working as a tea lady at the Secret Research Institute for 3 days now. On day 1, I introduced myself to the head of security, Jeff Buck. He is the only man on site who knows the combination to the vault, and I have been plying him with tea and biscuits 3 times a day. Mr. Buck is married and has an unimpeachable record of 20 years' service, but I do not believe he will pose a problem. The sight of an unbuttoned blouse and the thought of a bit of slap and tickle is enough to corrupt even the most outwardly respectable of men. It is I who suggest an illicit rendezvous down in the vault. There is no point in wasting time. I want to see the Coxton diamond, I gush, fluttering my eyelids and adopting my best ickle girl voice. I saw a photograph of it in Life magazine. It looks so big. I'd love to see it for myself. I lean forward across the desk, and my hand slowly unpops another button on my blouse. I'd be so grateful, I whisper. Mr. Buck stares back at me, captivated. A few moments later, we are 3 floors down, outside the vault, and he is tapping the combination into a small keypad. I take out my compact and touch up my lipstick. The mirror in the compact acts as a miniature television receiver. I switch it on and am able to see into the control room, where Jenny and Michelle are distracting the guards. Jenny is sat astride Mr. Arnold Jackson, between him and a bank of security monitors. I can see the man's deliriously happy face through Jenny's artificial eyes as he leans forward and unzips the front of her dress. I flick channels and see that Michelle has already locked tongues with William Moore, the second night watchman. Everything seems to be running to plan. I should have several minutes of undisturbed attention. The huge titanium door swings open, and I flash a dazzling smile at Jeff Buck. He is short and balding, but has a kind face. We move inside the vault, and he locates the box containing the legendary diamond. He enters a second combination on the lock, and the lid flips open. Finally, he pulls out the Coxton. I gaze at the gem with wide eyes. "It's huge," I exclaim. It's almost the size of a tennis ball. "Can I hold it?" Buck smiles indulgently. "Be very careful." I take the diamond in my hand and caress it for a moment. "It's beautiful," I say, holding it up to the light. I unclip the top of my handbag and slip the diamond inside. Buck laughs. Now, he admonishes me with mock severity. "If you're going to try and walk off with that, I may have to put you over my knee and spank you." He grins. The poor lamb thinks I'm playing a joke. I smile and break his neck with a swift karate chop. There is a snap as his spinal cord severs. He falls to the floor without a word, and I blow him a kiss. "Sorry, Jeff." I leave the body inside the vault and close the door behind me. Then I pull out my compact to check up on Jenny and Michelle. Michelle is still snogging William Moore. He's not bad looking for a security guard. Arnold Jackson, the older of the 2 men, has his head buried deeply in Jenny's cleavage. That should keep him preoccupied while I slip out of the building. The vault is below ground, but there is a fire exit 1 floor up. Opening that will trigger an alarm, but by then I will be out onto the street and long gone. The alarm sounds prematurely. William Moore has accidentally found the notch behind Michelle's left ear. Her plastic faceplate clicks open on a hinge, revealing a mass of circuitry and two bulging artificial eyes. Moore is too shocked to do anything, but Jackson, who has just come up for air, sees the face swing open and instantly reaches forward to press the alarm button on the console in front of him before Jenny has time to break his neck. Now I can hear the sound of armed guards racing along the corridor. I will have to shoot my way out. Luckily, my boobs are fitted with heavy-duty machine guns. One moment they are all pert and bouncy. The next, two metal tubes pop out, even when I'm wearing a blouse. Don't ask me how that works. I open fire as the first guard comes round the corner. That is Mr. Cooper. I let out a shriek of pleasure. Spitting bullets is an orgasmic experience, and the 49-year-old bachelor is the first to be torn apart. It's a shame, really. I rather liked Mr. Cooper, but there is no time for sentimentality. Two more guards come into view, and I cut them to pieces with equal efficiency. Jenny and Michelle arrive at the fire exit ahead of me, Michelle having thoughtfully clicked her face back into place. We pull open the doors and find ourselves in a back alley. It is the work of a moment to discard our brown wigs in a nearby dustbin and disappear into the night. The police will be searching for a trio of brunettes. They won't notice three innocent-looking blondes out for a night on the town. "Did you get the diamond?" Jenny inquires. She is fractionally taller than me with a button nose and deep brown eyes. I nod and slip her the coxton. Then I do up the front of my blouse. "Did you wipe the monitors?" I ask her. There must be no record of our presence at the Institute. "Of course," she snaps, offended that I would even need to ask. She drops the diamond into her handbag and snaps it shut. "I'll head back to control with this." "We'll see you tomorrow," I say. Michelle and I have another mission to complete. The two of us head to the Purple Pussy Club in Soho. By now it is 11 o'clock and the club is heaving. A fog of tobacco envelops the bar. I push my way through the crowd. There is a live band and a small dance floor. I'm worried about partnering with Michelle. She was hit over the head with a baseball bat in Ulaanbaatar a couple of weeks ago, and she has not been right since. Every now and then, her head will spark and her arm will start to jerk uncontrollably. At the moment, however, she is blending in well with the other dancers. She catches sight of our quarry in the far corner. Sir Clive Lazenby is dressed in a casual suit. He has a neatly trimmed moustache and is chatting up some dolly bird in a green sweater. I walk across to the table, trip on my heels, and accidentally spill my gin and orange over her top. "I'm terribly sorry," I say. She rushes off to the ladies to clean herself up, and the field is left open for Michelle. An hour later, we arrive at Sir Clive's luxury Mayfair flat. Michelle spikes his drink and gets him into bed. I take the photographs as she undresses and cavorts on top of him. He is conscious throughout, but barely aware of what is going on. He doesn't seem to notice the occasional flash of static electricity from Michelle. In the morning, a set of prints will be delivered to his office alongside a rather important summons. Michelle is getting carried away. She has started slapping him across the face. If this carries on, she might do him some serious harm. That blow to the head has really unhinged her. "Time to go," I hiss. She slides off Sir Clive and zips up her dress. At this point, perhaps, I ought to introduce myself. My official designation is Fembot 1969Z492A73, but you can call me Sally. During the day, I work at the perfume counter on the ground floor of Burlington's, a top Knightsbridge department store. I have been away on leave for a few days to cover my most recent assignment, but it is a simple matter to slip back into the routine. The store manager, Dr. Eugene Lovelace, is also the chief scientist of an international criminal organisation known simply as the Organisation. Our secret London headquarters is situated in the basement of the store. I am keeping a record of these events at the behest of Dr. Lovelace. He is the inventor of the Fembot, a purpose-built female android designed to distract and deceive the human male. I am one of the latest models. Dr. Lovelace has instructed me to keep an account of my daily life, paying particular attention to any amorous encounters that may occur during the course of my work. I think he is hoping to sell the manuscript to a girly magazine. Strictly speaking, I should report him for this. The organisation takes a dim view of moonlighting, but the chief scientist has installed a loyalty subroutine in my data core, and I am unable to say anything nasty about him. Dr. Lovelace is a hugely intelligent man with a great sense of humour who never touches my bum inappropriately. The store itself is a jewel in the heart of London. The richest and most famous people in the land do their shopping at Burlington's, and I have a database of all their names and faces. As soon as anyone steps into the store, myself or one of my colleagues will identify them, and they will quickly be categorised in terms of potential usefulness to the organisation. If I can flog them a bottle of Chanel No. 5 as well, so much the better. It is rewarding, if rather tedious work, but I have been fitted with special nasal receptors which allow me to differentiate several billion odours. I am thus able to tailor each perfume to the individual customer. At night, I undertake more serious work: assassinations, robbery, extortion, and for these tasks I am even better equipped. I arrive back at Burlington's shortly before dawn and am on the shop floor by 8 o'clock. Luckily, I do not need sleep, and I have already drained the alcohol from my system. Fembots can eat and drink like ordinary human beings. We have a small atomic reactor in our stomachs, and any foodstuff can be broken down and used for fuel. But we can go for days without ingesting anything if it ever proves necessary. I spend a pleasant hour gossiping with Janet and Mabel, the other girls in the perfume department. They think I have been away sunning myself in Margate, a place they have obviously never visited. They are real women, not Fembot replicants. Janet is in her early 20s, big-nosed and vacuous. Mabel is older and more homely. The store opens promptly at 9 o'clock, and soon the shop floor is buzzing. At 11, I catch sight of Sir Clive entering the store, his fingers nervously rubbing his platinum wedding ring. The blackmail photographs have been delivered, and he is now being brought in for appropriate direction. As head of the Board of Trade, he will be expected to authorise the export of certain vital equipment to the island of San Andres in the South Pacific. Once that is accomplished, Phase 2 of our glorious leader's grand design can begin. Janet is flirting with a young male customer who has come looking to buy some perfume for his girlfriend. Valentine's Day is approaching, and there will be something of a rush in the next couple of days. I move across to take over, but at that moment, I spot a man in a sharp Savile Row suit walking down the main aisle. A quick flick through my database identifies him as Steve Blunt, an MI6 operative and congenital womanizer. He is tall, dark-haired, and ridiculously handsome. I rush across the floor to intercept him. "Can I help you, sir?" He eyes me up casually, his gaze lingering a little too long on my upper torso. "I'm sure you can." He smiles a dazzling smile and raises a single eyebrow. Sighs of pleasure ripple across the shop floor. The effect is incredible. That one eyebrow could dampen a pair of knickers at 50 paces. At 20 paces, It would probably snap the elastic. This is a man who knows how to draw attention. Thankfully, I am beyond such shallow human reactions. "The name's Blunt. Steve Blunt," he says. He pulls up a solid leather briefcase and rests it on a nearby counter. He flicks the combination and opens the lid. Inside the case are 3 dark brown wigs, which I recognise from the night before. These are the ones we abandoned outside the Institute. "I believe these may have been purchased in this store." I pick up one of the wigs and examine it, for form's sake. On the inside, written very clearly, are the words Burlington's, Knightsbridge, SW1. "I'm afraid we can't give a refund without a receipt, sir." "I'm more interested in who may have purchased them," he says. "They were discovered last night near the scene of a jewel robbery." I play dumb. "Gosh, how exciting!" "So you understand why we want to trace the buyers." I nod my head vigorously. "I can check with Miss Dalton in hairwear, if you'll excuse me for just a moment." "But of course, Miss—" He glances down at my name badge, and his eyes light up in amusement. "Miss Shagwell." He raises that eyebrow again. Over at the perfume counter, Mabel has a hot flush and has to sit down. "An unusual name," he observes with a smirk. It is not one of my choosing. "Call me Sally," I insist, engaging a girlish charm subroutine and smiling sweetly up at him. The chief scientist takes great pride in the inventiveness of his names, but it does sometimes lay a girl open to ridicule. I move across to the hairwear counter and have a quick word with Miss Dalton, a fearsome dragon of a woman who nonetheless cannot keep her eyes off Mr. Blunt. I show her the wigs, but of course she does not remember selling them. I return to the perfume counter and offer my apologies. "I'm terribly sorry, sir. I'm afraid Miss Dalton has no memory of these items." "Do you keep a record of sales?" "We have a master ledger in the back office. Would you like me to fetch it?" He grins. "There's no hurry. Perhaps you'd like to meet up for dinner with me this evening. You could let me know then." He hands me his card. "La Maison Femme at 7:30? It seems churlish to refuse. "That's very kind of you. I'd be delighted." He raises an eyebrow again, and the entire shop floor quivers. I will have to start spraying some perfume into the air when he is gone, if only to dissipate those potent sex pheromones. Where on earth does MI6 find men like him? At 12 o'clock, I take my lunch break. The service elevator at the back of the store leads down into the labyrinth of the organisation itself. Fembot Jenny is waiting at the lift when I arrive. She is my regular training partner and something of a thorn in my side. She works in haberdashery and thinks herself superior to everybody else. 2 security bots, Poppy and Holly, stand guard outside the elevator as we arrive at the basement. They are dressed in the standard-issue diaphanous pink negligée. Poppy raises a scanner and checks our ident chips before allowing us to proceed into the inner sanctum. A loud voice booms from the tannoy system and reverberates across the corridor. "Stage 1 will complete in 1 day." The voice is vaguely Germanic. "1 day and counting." We make our way along a faceless passageway to the balloon room. Fembot Greta, the weapons mistress, is expecting us. She opens a small panel in my back and removes the spent cartridge from last night, replacing it with a fresh one and sealing up the panel invisibly afterwards. Jenny steps forward and her weaponry is reloaded in a similar fashion. The shooting gallery is filled with brightly coloured balloons and the odd underling who has displeased our great leader. Today, Mr. Craig Dawson, A middle-aged henchman, 3rd class, who recently made an unauthorised telephone call to the Daily Clarion, is strapped to a post in the middle of the room. Jenny and I smile at each other and open fire. My boobs can spit 12 rounds a second and keep firing for upwards of a minute on a single cartridge. The gun tubes are difficult to aim. You have to direct your whole body in the direction you wish to fire, but they are always lethal. Most of the balloons are burst within a fraction of a second, and poor Mr. Dawson is cut to shreds. After 10 seconds, we cease fire, and a scorecard pops up on the far wall. 141 to 144. Greta nods approvingly. I am a little peeved. Jenny has burst 3 more balloons than me, though I did manage a head and a groin shot. Jenny, however, hit Mr. Dawson's heart, which is worth double. She always gets a better score than me. Her boobs are 2 millimetres closer together, which apparently makes all the difference. I am not jealous, though. I can touch my nose with my big toe, which is more than she can do. It is strange how much physical variation there is between fembots, considering we are mass-produced. But as the great leader is often quoted as saying, variety is the spice of life. Greta scribbles a note on her clipboard. Approved for San Andres. She does not look up. Other fembots are waiting in line outside the armoury. Lunchtime is always busy in the training rooms. A new set of balloons self-inflate as we exit the chamber. One fembot I am not expecting to see outside is Big Bertha. I flinch at the sight of her. She is the bodyguard for the Deputy Number 1, a grim, solid-looking creature with wide hips and arms like iron girders. Rumour has it she is brought in to dismantle any fembot who shows signs of disobedience or general malfunction. Perhaps I should have a word with her about Michelle. Big Bertha strides towards me. "You are to report to the Deputy Number 1, she booms, in a worryingly masculine voice. "You have been assigned a special mission." I bob my head. I have never been granted an audience with the deputy before. It is a great honour. Fembot Jenny looks on enviously as Big Bertha escorts me into the office. Nikita von Schmidt is a formidable woman in her early 60s. She is dressed in a shockingly plain skirt and a mohair blouse. Her hair is scraped back in a bun, which looks every bit as pinched as her face. "I have been monitoring your interaction with the secret agent Steve Blunt," she says. Her accent is difficult to place. At times Russian, at times German. It is the same voice I hear every day over the loudspeaker. "Good work, Fembot Sally. You will meet the agent at La Maison Femme as arranged. Excuse me one moment." She looks at her watch and flicks a switch on the desk in front of her. "Stage 1 will complete in 23 hours and 40 minutes, she bellows. I dampen the feed from my audio receptors. 23 hours, 40 minutes. An agonising pause follows as the inevitable coda is willfully delayed. "Und counting!" Frau Schmidt flicks the tannoy off and returns her attention to me. "You will bring the agent back to your flat after dinner." "Do you wish me to kill him?" "No, my dear." She smiles cruelly. "We have something rather more interesting in mind for Mr. Blunt." The waiter pops the cork and pours a small dribble of champagne into the fluted glass. Steve Blunt takes a sip of the bubbling liquid. He swills it in his mouth, considers for a moment, and then nods his head. "A little fruity, but rather pleasant. I think he is talking about the champagne. His eyes, however, are locked on me. I am dressed to kill in a shockingly low-cut gown from our new spring collection. The waiter fills up both our glasses and we clink them together across the dining table. I look away from him and then back coquettishly. So what's a beautiful girl like you doing working behind a perfume counter at Burlington's? I blush at the compliment. A girl has to make a living. I'm sure you have other talents, he chuckles. That's not for me to say. You're too modest. His eyes do not move from my face. There is a hypnotic quality to the man that any real woman would be hard-pushed to resist. As a fembot, I am immune to all forms of charisma, but I have been programmed with the correct non-verbal responses, and I am employing every one of them this evening. A tight dress and a bit of cleavage is not enough to lure a British secret agent to his doom. I must make him believe that he is in control and that I am falling under his spell. I checked the ledgers in the back office, I tell him. The hairpieces did originate from our store, but we have no record of selling them. I think they must have been stolen. That's very likely, he agrees. He smiles again and tops up my champagne glass. I must remember to engage my inebriation software before we leave the restaurant. It is the latest upgrade and involves a certain amount of simulated disorientation, not to mention the occasional wandering hand, which I am sure Steve Blunt will appreciate. Our mutual flirtation has the desired result. We share each other's dessert, spend a pleasing hour at the Purple Pussy in Soho, and then arrive somewhat sozzled at my apartment in West London. I pull a key from my handbag and insert it in the lock. The door swings open and I switch on the lights. Steve Blunt follows me inside. Charming place, he observes. It is charming, though strictly speaking it does not belong to me. The organisation keeps a penthouse suite on standby for intimate evenings such as this. A luxurious but sparsely furnished living room leads through into a richly embroidered boudoir with a king-sized bed. Make yourself at home, I say. I'll put the kettle on. He grabs my wrist and embraces me. I don't think he is interested in the coffee. We move back towards the sofa and fall on top of it. I am giggling, but he slaps me hard across the face and I stop at once. I have to suppress the urge to snap his neck. Instead, I feign shock and surprise. Now, why don't you stop pretending? He tells me sternly. His hand is gripping my wrist again. All at once, his expression has hardened. A girl working on a perfume counter could never afford an apartment like this. You're working for the organisation. I don't understand. He slaps me a second time. It will be a pleasure to kill him when the time comes. We've known for some months that Burlington's is a front for an international criminal organisation. You recognised me as soon as I entered the store, which means you are part of that organisation. And presumably you brought me here to pump me for information. Isn't that right, darling? I nod weakly. I had certainly intended a bit of pumping, but inside I am smiling. Everything is going exactly as Frau Schmidt predicted. So why don't you be a good little girl and tell me everything you know? He pulls back and allows me to sit up. I start to cry. A small set of tear ducts have been implanted especially for this mission. I have been warned not to overdo it, however. There is a danger the water might short out some of the circuitry in my head. I don't want to end up like Fembot Michelle. I didn't want to do it, I sob, uploading the pre-arranged storyline from my hard drive. My uncle, they kidnapped him. The organisation. They're forcing him to work for them. And they said I'd never see him again unless I did exactly what they said. Blunt stares at me intently. Your uncle? Professor Marius. He's a rocket scientist, or was, working for the British government on their ballistic missile programme. And his absence hasn't been noticed? He retired a couple of months ago, and then they abducted him. Blunt considers this for a moment. And do you know where they've taken him? There's an island in the South Pacific. It's called San Andres. I've heard of it. The organisation has its headquarters there, a few miles outside the capital. That's where they've taken him. It's the truth, I swear it. His eyes bore into me. He is not sure if he believes my story, but if he decides to check it out, it will stand up to scrutiny. There is a rocket scientist called Professor Marius, or rather, there was. Blunt hands me a handkerchief. There, that wasn't so difficult, was it? I dab my eyes and flinch slightly as a burst of static leaps across from an eyeball to one of my fingers. I don't think Blunt notices. He puts an arm around me. How would you like to go on a little journey? He asks. Sometime tomorrow. My eyes widen. You mean... Why not? He grins just as his watch beeps the hour. It is getting rather late. And in the meantime... He leans forward and kisses me. It is 6 a.m. I am lying naked in bed with just a white sheet covering me. My internal chronometer has suffered a glitch during the night. There is a 20-minute misalignment. I must have short-circuited during our lovemaking. It would not be the first time. Water is not the only liquid that can cause problems for a fembot. Steve Blunt is already out of bed. I can hear him in the hallway. He has unscrewed the receiver on the telephone and removed the bug. I hear the plop as he drops the microphone into the fish tank. He dials a number, and I turn my audio receptors up to maximum. The time it takes for the dial to rotate backwards gives me each digit, and I cross-reference the number with my own internal phone book. As expected, he is calling his office. I hear him speaking quietly to his boss, passing on all the latest developments, and getting his secretary, Miss Prim, to arrange a couple of plane tickets. Perfect, I think. Everything is going according to plan. Blunt is still suspicious of me, but he has decided it is worth swallowing the bait. I lift myself off the bed, pulling the sheet up to cover my chest as I move across the room. 16mm film cameras behind the walls record everything that happens in this flat, one of Dr. Lovelace's innovations, and though I am sure the chief scientist would never make inappropriate use of the footage, I do not feel the need to expose myself unnecessarily. I enter the bathroom and twist the end of my thumb. With a clunk, my body enters full lockdown mode. I can now turn on the shower and stand underneath it without the water ending up anywhere inappropriate. Blunt rings off the phone. "Morning, darling," he says, wandering nonchalantly into the bathroom and taking me in his arms. "The flight's booked for 10:30. That gives us about an hour before we need to head off to the airport." He pulls off my towel and we step into the shower together. Thankfully, the glass is frosted and our naked silhouettes are barely visible to the film cameras outside. Steam fills the cubicle and we kiss passionately. "In hot water again," Blunt chuckles. A wall of heat envelops us as we step out of the terminal building. Taxi drivers yell and try to attract our attention. Small boys dart around us, offering up fruit and badly made trinkets. It is a colourful, exotic scene. There is the smell of salt in the air and fish from the sea. Strangulated voices ululate in the distance. If you were going to travel abroad, you might as well visit somewhere different, and there are few places quite as bizarre as the bustling Pacific island of San Andres. A man stands with a placard a little way along the pavement. The words "Blunt, Shag" scrawled inappropriately on the front of it. "I think that may be us," Blunt observes wryly. He steers me gently through the throng of soon-to-be disappointed taxi drivers. I pretend not to recognise our contact. Angus McConaughey is one of the organisation's most reliable henchmen. He is a relaxed and friendly fellow with a well-disguised psychotic streak. He takes the suitcases and leads us across to a slick four-seater. Blunt is impressed by the car, an Austin Myers GB5. McConaughey takes the cases, puts them in the boot, and then sees us into the back of the vehicle. We drive off towards town. It is market day today, and the place is alive with activity. Luckily, McConaughey is an expert driver. He hurtles through the centre of town at full speed, screeching left and right through a tangle of fruit and vegetable stalls without displacing so much as a solitary satsuma. Blunt thinks we are heading for our hotel, and he frowns when we move out of town and hit a long coastal road. He knocks irritably on the glass. "The Hotel Splendide is back that way." He knocks again. "Can you hear me?" McConaughey presses a button on the dashboard, and the side doors lock themselves. Blunt raps on the window again, but McConaughey ignores him. "I'm going to have to break the glass," he tells me urgently. "I don't suppose you've got anything hard in that handbag of yours?" I click it open and pull out a snub-nosed revolver. "Only this," I say, aiming the gun at his head. "Sit back in your seat, Mr. Blunt." He stares at me, dumbfounded. We'll be arriving very shortly. A helicopter flies overhead as the car draws up on a patch of waste ground. A heavy line of trees encircle the area, but the helicopter flies over them and descends out of sight into the cone of a nearby volcano. The Deputy Number 1 has arrived in San Andres. McConaughey unlocks the door of the Austin Myers, and I gesture our captive out onto the gravel. 2 henchmen are waiting to escort us into the mountain. Both are armed with automatic weapons. "Quite a reception committee," Blunt notes dryly. I push him forward towards a gap in the trees. A small trail leads up the side of Mount Paluzzi, a long-extinct volcano. It will take 15 minutes to reach the entrance. It is uphill all the way, and a heavy sun is beating down on us. It is lucky I do not perspire. The henchmen grunt and wheeze as we make our way along the trail. We come to a halt just before the tree line cuts out. Above us there is only scree. Artificial plants swivel suspiciously as we arrive at a door embedded in the rock face. I address the nearest tulip. "Prisoner and escort." "Identification," a disembodied voice reverberates. "Fembot 1969 Z492A73. Blunt glances at me incredulously. "You're a fembot?" I reach a hand up and flick the switch behind my left ear. My faceplate swings open to reveal 2 bulging electronic eyes. "But of course, you have been naive, Mr. Blunt." The secret agent gapes at me. He is so astonished, he raises both his eyebrows at once. If I were a real woman, I would be melting right now. Thankfully, I am impervious to his charms, but the same cannot be said for the 2 henchmen. Even men, it seems, are not immune to Steve Blunt's extraordinary sexual charisma. Bert Drummond swoons and crashes to the earth. Harry Brosnan, a rugged heterosexual with a wife, 3 children and a mistress in Pimlico, merely staggers slightly. Blunt takes his chance and smacks Brosnan in the face. He grabs the machine gun, but before he can aim it, I thump the back of his neck and he falls to the ground unconscious. "Get up!" I snap at the henchman. "The Deputy First Leader will hear of your incompetence." Drummond and Brosnan rise to their feet, just as a door slides open in the rock. "Bring the prisoner to Detention Center 7! I recognise the voice of Frau Schmidt. The henchmen lift up the unconscious secret agent and, clicking my face back into place, I gesture them inside the volcano. "You have done well, Fembot Sally!" The interior of the volcano has been hollowed out. Only a skeleton staff is in attendance at the moment, though the rest are already being shipped out from London. Burlington's department store will be severely depleted over the next few days. I wonder how Janet and Mabel will cope. A labyrinth of corridors gives way to a central silo. A huge rocket stands ready on the launch pad, supported by an enormous metal tower. Final preparations are being made for liftoff, with the last of the equipment having recently been shipped out from England. The Coxton Diamond will have pride of place in the nose cone of the rocket. Off to one side, I see the helicopter that brought Frau Schmidt into the volcano. Her assistant, Big Bertha, is talking to the pilot, who is preparing to return to the capital. A siren sounds as the roof of the volcano begins to slide back. "Warning! Warning! Roof section opening! Roof section opening!" I make my way to the changing rooms to get out of my travel clothes. At long last, I can put on my real uniform. Not the modest mini-dress of a Burlington's shop girl, but the proud pink negligee of an organisation fembot. Jenny and Michelle are refuelling in an adjacent chamber. I am surprised to see them both here. "We came with the Deputy Number 1, Jenny explains, thrusting out her better-performing bust with pride. It must have been very cramped in that helicopter. "We have been assigned special protection duty." It can't be that special, I think, if the two of you have been detailed. Fembot Michelle's condition has deteriorated since I last saw her. She is twitching constantly now, and sparks are flying across her face. I am surprised Big Bertha hasn't reassigned her to the scrap heap. "I'm very happy for you," I say. We flinch as a voice booms out of the tannoy. But this time it is not Frau Schmidt. "Fembot Sally, report to Dr. Lovelace in Laboratory 3. I grimace and Jenny stifles a laugh. She knows exactly how much I admire the chief scientist. Steve Blunt is attached to a long metal table. Electrodes are being plugged into his head. He looks across at his adversary, a familiar figure in a white coat. "You expect me to talk?" Dr. Eugene Lovelace snorts derisively. He is an intense-looking man with a craggy face and small blue eyes. "Of course I expect you to talk. Why else would we have gone to all this trouble to bring you here?" "I won't tell you anything," Blunt insists. "Oh, you will." Lovelace smiles. "You will tell us everything. You will not be able to help yourself. Our magnetic probes are already scanning the electrical activity in your brain. He gestures to the skull cap that has been placed over the agent's head. Cables run down from it, across the floor to a large bank of computers. Huge tape spools whir noisily inside them. Every thought that passes through your head is now available to us. Access codes, MI6 protocols. We are probing the deepest recesses of your unconscious mind. He glances at a monitor. It is not a pretty sight. The information is then transferred to our giant computer, and from there it will be fed directly into my latest and greatest invention. He moves across to a long, thin workbench, covered over with a sheet. Blunt lifts his head slightly and observes as Lovelace pulls the sheet back. Underneath is an identical copy of Steve Blunt. The duplicate is completely naked, at least as far as the sheet has been pulled back, but he too has a skull cap attached to his head. His eyes flick open. With a whoosh of servo motors, he rises up and swings his legs over the side of the bench. "Behold," Lovelace proclaims, "the world's first ever mandroid!" Steve Blunt sniggers. "Mandroid?" The chief scientist nods proudly. "I took the word man and the word android, and Yes, I guessed the derivation. I don't think it's going to catch on." "And what do you know? I am a world-class scientist, and you are what? A nothing, a mere nobody." "So why do you need a duplicate of me?" Lovelace snorts again. "You think I am a fool? I'm hardly going to stand here and sketch out our entire plan just to satisfy your curiosity. It really is none of your business. If we want to fit this mandroid duplicate with a tracking device and use it to infiltrate the British Embassy in San Andres, then that's entirely up to us." He stops himself and scowls at his own lack of discretion. Blunt has been following his words carefully. "But if your intention is to attack the British Embassy, why not simply load the mandroid with explosives rather than a tracking device?" Lovelace waves a hand dismissively. "You understand nothing. We cannot demonstrate the efficacy of the deadly laser satellite we are about to launch if we simply—" He stops himself again and curses under his breath. "I see. So this tracking device will provide you with a target for your laser to prove that it works." Blunt is irritatingly good at deducing other people's plans. "And the Coxton diamond will be the focusing mechanism. But why do you need a locator for the embassy? Don't you have a map?" Lovelace growls angrily. "You think yourself so clever, Mr. Blunt, but you cannot begin to conceive the scale of our plans. Once we have demonstrated the power of our satellite, we can hold the entire world to ransom." The secret agent laughs. "You're insane. You do know that, don't you?" "Insane? They said Caligula was insane." Blunt frowns. "Caligula was insane." "So the historians tell us. But what do they know?" The chief scientist turns away. "I tire of this meaningless banter. Fembot Sally, disconnect him from the machine and return him to his cell." I step forward dutifully and start unplugging the wires. Lovelace gazes happily at his mandroid duplicate. "We have all we need from him now. In a little under—" "Stage 2, rocket launch!" will begin in 2 hours and 30 minutes, the tannoy voice booms. Lovelace smiles with satisfaction. In a little under 2 hours and 30 minutes, our glorious new satellite will be 2 hours, 30 minutes. Our glorious satellite will be launched, and I will make sure... The chief scientist stops, waiting for the inevitable interruption, but it doesn't come. And I will make sure that you, Mr. Blunt, and counting! Lovelace glares at the loudspeaker. I will make sure that you witness the launch from a privileged position, he smirks, directly underneath. He allows himself a short, dramatic pause. He has obviously been taking lessons from Frau Schmidt. The rocket booster itself! The prison cell is a small cube with a retractable roof. I press a few buttons on a keypad and it slides back to reveal a perfect view of the rocket boosters, hovering over the launch pad just above our heads. You won't get to see the rocket launch itself, I say. You'll be burnt to a crisp before the countdown reaches 0. Blunt is not in the least perturbed. I think I may pass on that. You will have no choice, Mr. Blunt. The doors of this cell cannot be opened from the inside. Once I close this door, your fate is sealed. The walls are smooth metal, 10 feet high, with a solid wire mesh spanning the top of the cell in place of the retracted roof. Well then, I'll just have to make sure you don't close that door. I step outside. You are too late, Mr. Blunt. It's never too late. Honey bun. I flinch, and something changes abruptly inside of me. I am not going to close the door. Why would I want to? Steve Blunt is not my enemy. We are on the same side. I shake myself. What am I thinking? Blunt steps towards me. Not the most original code word, I grant you, but it's unlikely I would ever say it by accident. He looks up and down the exterior corridor, but there is nobody else within sight. I knew from the very beginning that you were a fembot, Miss Shagwell. I blink. How did you know? We're taught to recognize the signs. It's the eyes that are the giveaway, the way you blink. He stares at my face and I blink again. You see? Every 4 seconds without fail. It's a fundamental design flaw. Dr. Lovelace is not quite the genius he thinks he is. He's not a genius at all, I say, delighted suddenly to find myself able to criticize him. He's just a dirty old man. You know he's got film cameras in that apartment in London, recording everything. I shake my head. That is not relevant right now. But how did you overcome my programming? Blunt grins smugly. My wristwatch is fitted with a small sonic oscillator. It disrupts all forms of electronic circuitry. It only works briefly, but it was enough to disorientate you. I opened your faceplate and disconnected your core processor. Then I slipped in an extra circuit the boys at K Division provided me with, rebooted your CPU, and implanted the code word. By the time your functions were fully restored, you were unaware that anything had happened. My chronometer, it was 20 minutes adrift. That was the only clue you had, but as I'd already ordered you to dismiss the error, you didn't give it a second thought. He is right. I had been aware of the glitch, but I had paid it no attention. And now I work for you. He shakes his head, seriously. You're a free agent now, Sally, if we get out of this alive. I nod, grimly. What do you want me to do? We need to sabotage that rocket and find a way to retrieve the Coxton diamond. If the jewel is removed from the laser, the weapon won't be able to fire. We can render it completely impotent. Just like Dr. Lovelace, I laugh. It is wonderful to be able to think like this. I can gain access to the rocket silo, but the launch is probably only... Stage 2 rocket launch will begin in 90 minutes! The loudspeaker booms. I smile. Well, 90 minutes away. Do what you can. I need to find launch control. I can help you with that. I have an internal schematic of the entire complex, which I am able to consult at will. Everything is coordinated from the office of the deputy number... 90 minutes! The voice booms again. I look up at the tannoy, and the world seems to freeze. Everyone inside the volcano holds their breath. How long will she leave it this time, I wonder? And counting! Almost 10 seconds. That's Frau Schmidt, I tell him. I can direct you to her office. Blunt shudders. I just hope she's out for the afternoon. I make my way up through the compound, passing innumerable security checks in order to reach the rocket silo. Fembot Michelle is standing guard at the entrance to the launch tower. I raise a hand in greeting. Entry to the rocket is restricted, she intones, her head twitching randomly. Her eyes seem unfocused, but she knows who I am. I have received special orders from the chief scientist, I say. I am to carry out a final check on the satellite array prior to the launch. Michelle regards me for a moment, twitches again, and then nods her head. Are you sure you don't want to check? I was not expecting this to be quite so easy. No, I am sure everything is in order. That blow to the head in Ulaanbaatar must really have damaged her circuits. She pulls back the metal gate, and I step into the elevator. A panel on the inside contains 2 large buttons, up and down. Michelle closes the gate, and I press the up button before she changes her mind. The lift quickly starts to ascend. Fembot Jenny stands waiting at the top of the launch tower. What are you doing here? She demands, pulling back the gate leading out onto the upper level. This is a restricted area. All personnel are due to be pulled back. I do not have time to argue. I slash her neck with the side of my hand, and she staggers backwards. Her guns click into place, those damned perfect breasts of hers, but I hit her again before she has time to fire. She twists round awkwardly, grabbing hold of a rail to steady herself, but she is too late. My own boobs are already in place, and I open fire without a second thought. The energy unleashed is tremendous, the bullets ripping through her plastic flesh like a fork through spaghetti. She spins around, and I chop at her a third time. All at once, she flips over the edge of the gantry and plummets 90 metres to the hangar floor. Her body hits the concrete with a pleasing squelch. I don't want you to think I am petty. I gain no satisfaction from the destruction of a fellow fembot. Hastily, I make my way along the retractable arm to the apex of the rocket. A small metal door has been riveted shut. I unscrew one of my fingers and use an internal attachment to unrivet the door. It falls off with a loud clunk, and I stick my head inside. The satellite is stowed in the centre of the nose cone, its solar panels wrapped up, but the Coxton diamond in pride of place at the front. It is jammed in hard, and I have to break the metal restraints to retrieve it. The diamond is now in my hand, but I suddenly realise I have nowhere to put it. My pink negligee does not have any pockets. I slip the jewel quietly into my underpants and hope no one notices the bulge. I lift up the door and quickly bolt it back into place. Then I make my way back along the retractable arm towards the elevator. So far, so good. The tannoy voice booms as I make my descent. Stage 2 of rocket launch will begin in 1 hour and 10 minutes. The sound echoes across the hangar. 1 hour, 10 minutes. Time slows down. Fembots and henchmen alike cock their heads at the loudspeaker. Even the steam emanating from the rocket booster seems to hold its breath. Finally, the coda arrives. And counting! 15 seconds this time. Michelle calmly opens the gate for me. The frazzled remains of Fembot Jenny lie scattered across the floor in front of her, but she does not seem troubled by the fact. I think Jenny had an accident, she tells me in a monotone. Her head twitches, and I see a spark flit between her eyeballs. She slipped and fell, I agree. Better get maintenance to clean it up. Michelle nods distractedly. She doesn't notice the bulge in my knickers. She is too busy trying to keep control of her errant limbs. I leave her to it. The tannoy bursts into life again, but this time it is the voice of the chief scientist. Fembot Sally to Laboratory 3 immediately! Fembot Sally to Laboratory 3! I arrive at the laboratory to find Steve Blunt in the hands of Big Bertha. The massive industrial android has the secret agent in a vice-like grip. Dr. Lovelace is calmly sipping tea at his workbench. I try not to appear rattled. You summoned me, Dr. Lovelace? Eugene Lovelace discards a cheese and pickle sandwich and rises to his feet. Yes, I did. You were instructed to guard our friend here, yet Big Bertha finds him skulking around the Deputy Number One's office. How do you account for that? I received orders to visit the rocket silo. I left Mr. Blunt in his cell. I think the orders may have been in error. Fembot Jenny proved defective, and I had to disable her. I think her programming may have been compromised. I see. Lovelace moves towards me. And how do you suppose Mr. Blunt escaped? I don't know. Have you asked him? Don't be insolent. I begin to suspect Fembot Jenny is not the only one who may be defective. The man moves closer to me and glances down at my knickers, which are clearly visible through the fabric of the negligee. What is that? He demands, gesturing to my underpants. The dirty little toad is always ogling my private parts. You are a fembot, not a man-droid. Why is there a bulge? I whack the side of his neck with the edge of my hand. It is not a killing blow, but Lovelace stumbles backwards. Now that I am free of his programming, I want to take my time with the chief scientist. What are you doing? He shrieks. My gun tubes click into place, and I bash him hard across the face. Big Bertha, destroy her! Bertha frees herself of Steve Blunt by the simple expedient of smashing his head on a nearby table, then swings round to advance upon me. I open fire, but the bullets ricochet off her reinforced titanium bust. She is no ordinary fembot. Lovelace cowers behind a chair, his nose dribbling with blood as Bertha lumbers towards me. I step backwards and crash into a workbench. Bertha grabs me by the throat. She lets out a howl of pleasure. She enjoys her work as much as I do. It would be the matter of a moment for her to tear my head right off, but Bertha prefers to take her time. Luckily, my hands are free, and I scrabble behind my back to find something useful on the workbench. I nearly overturn the doctor's tea mug. A thought strikes me. I lift a hand to Bertha's ear and unlock her faceplate. It swings open. I grab the mug of tea and throw the tepid liquid at the mass of open circuitry. It pops and spits. Bertha's body begins to jerk. Her hands ungrip my neck, and she judders across the floor in a series of spasmodic, uncontrolled movements. She looks like Michelle. Fembot Bertha comes to a halt in front of the chair where Dr. Lovelace is cowering. Her body freezes, and then, ever so slowly, she starts to tumble forward. Lovelace lets out a scream as the huge plastic and titanium mannequin smacks down on top of him, crushing his lower body. I recover my wits and click my neck back into its proper position. Blunt is lying on the floor with a large bruise on his head. I rush over to him. He is starting to come round. "Are you all right?"
"I feel like I've been run over by a steamroller."
Lovelace is still alive, but he is trapped under Big Bertha.
"Help me! Get her off me!"
I take careful aim with my boobs, intending to finish him off.
"Leave him," Steve says. "We have to find my robot duplicate."
"You're too late," Lovelace sneers.
"He's already left. He's on his way to the British Embassy. There is nothing you can do. Now get this great lump off of me."
Steve gestures to the door, and we move away together.
"Release me!"
Lovelace shrieks.
"I am your creator. You will obey me."
I laugh, glancing back at the man dismissively. "In your dreams, honey." In the corridor, Steve staggers slightly and clutches his face. "You need a doctor," I say.
He shakes his head. "I think the doctor's a little weighed down at the moment. Did you get the diamond?"
"Of course." I pull the coxton out of my underpants and place it in his hands.
"My goodness, that is a big one," he observes.
"It's one of the biggest diamonds in the world."
"And you've certainly kept it warm."
"What do we do now? Go after your duplicate?"
"There's no time. We need to sabotage that rocket launch."
"But we've already got the diamond," I say. "The laser satellite won't work without it."
"We've foiled one plan," Blunt agrees. "But if we can destroy the rocket as well, there's a chance we can shut down the whole operation."
I don't understand.
"The roof control. I need to get access to it. If we can close the roof of the volcano just as the rocket is taking off, the back blast will destroy the entire base. The organization will be finished forever."
It is a good plan. I check my schematics. The roof control is in the office of the Deputy Number 1.
Blunt scowls. "I tried to get in there before. It's heavily guarded."
"I can get you there," I say. My gun barrels are still extended. Prisoner and escort.
"Good girl. I want to meet this deputy of yours. British intelligence has spent months gathering information about the organization, but there's one thing we've never been able to find out."
"What's that?"
"The identity of the great leader himself."
There are 3 security checks along the corridor leading to the central control chamber. The first 2 are manned by fembots. The last is overseen by Harry Brosnan. Blunt waves a cheerful hand at the battered henchman.
"How's that jaw of yours doing?"
Brosnan glares back, then looks across at me. I am surprised he is allowed on guard duty after his foul-up earlier on. Prisoner and escort, I say. Frau Schmidt has summoned him here.
I've not been informed.
Blunt and I exchange glances. He nods slightly, and I karate chop the guard. He drops to the floor, and we step over his body.
He is not having a good day, Blunt observes cheerfully.
I press my hand to the keypad, and the door swings open. A large white room opens up before us. Computer banks fill every corner. The whir of machinery is omnipresent. A glass wall, visible only from the inside, looks out onto the busy rocket silo. People are still milling about on the launch pad, making last-minute checks, but they will soon begin to withdraw. A protective blast wall will fall into place when the rocket takes off, so that the control centre will not be damaged by the exhaust. A spider's web of tunnels will help to ventilate the flames. 6 Fembot technicians are overseeing various aspects of the countdown. They are wired into chairs, with skull caps on their heads, oblivious to everything in the room. Their one concern is the telemetry being fed to them from the rocket. The deputy number 1, Frau Schmidt, is standing with her back to us, a clipboard in hand, examining a large databank with flashing multicoloured lights. She hears the gentle swish of the door, however, and whirls around to look at us. Blunt has retrieved the machine gun from the dead henchman and is moving towards Frau Schmidt.
The deputy number 1, I presume.
Frau Schmidt looks mildly irritated.
Fembot Sally, why is this man running free?
I give her an honest answer. He reprogrammed me, deputy number 1. I am assisting him in his attempts to scupper the great leader's plan. Frau Schmidt barely bats an eyelid.
I see. This is somewhat inconvenient.
Ignoring the machine gun, she glances at her watch and moves across to her desk.
You are too late, Mr. Blunt.
She flicks a switch and leans forward to speak into a microphone.
Phase 2 of rocket launch will begin in 10 minutes precisely.
Blunt flinches at the volume of her voice. It is even more penetrating in the flesh. My audio receptors have already been switched off.
10 minutes!
She looks at Blunt, and a slow smile spreads across her face. Glaciers advance and retreat across Europe. Civilizations rise and fall. And finally, as the tumbleweed disappears over the horizon, she completes the sentence.
And counting!
Almost 30 seconds this time. That must be a record. She flicks off the tannoy.
Nothing can stop the rocket launch now, and I have already received a signal from our chief scientist saying that your robotic duplicate is on its way to the British Embassy. You have lost, Mr. Blunt.
The secret agent reluctantly acknowledges the truth of that.
You're right, Frau Schmidt, is it? I can't stop the rocket launch. And you will not be able to leave this place alive.
Probably not, he concurs.
Then, with your permission, I will summon assistance and have you restrained. You have nothing to gain from shooting me.
Nothing at all, he agrees. Before you do, one indulgence? She grimaces.
Go on.
You're the deputy number 1, not the great leader himself.
That is correct.
So, if you don't mind me asking, who is number 1? A thin smile spreads across Frau Schmidt's pinched face.
Who is our great leader, Mr. Blunt? Why, he is all around you.
Blunt examines the room carefully. Apart from the fembots, all we can see are computer banks.
These computers are the heart of our operation. They are the great leader. Not just these computers, but computers across the globe. They are connected together via telephone cables. From here to the post office tower in London, there is a great web stretching out, a network of interconnected computers. That is the source of our power.
Computers connected together, Blunt scoffs. You expect me to believe that?
No, Mr. Blunt, but I expect you to try. Even your untrained mind must appreciate the technological achievement here. These computers alone can each perform almost 1 million calculations a second. That is 1 megabyte of information multiplied 100 times over. And with that power at our fingertips, we can control a vast array of artificial satellites. The laser weapon we launched today will be the first of many. Soon we will have a whole fleet of satellites coordinated by these electronic brains. The entire world will belong to the organization.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
Blunt raises his machine gun and starts firing at the computer banks.
You fool! You'll damage the equipment!
The Fembot technicians are jerking uncontrollably in their chairs. Blunt sprays the glass wall with bullets and it crashes away. He cannot prevent the rocket launch now, but he can distract everyone's attention. In the confusion, I rush across to the far side of the room and grab hold of the roof control lever. A siren starts to sound.
Warning! Warning!
The loudspeaker blares. It is the pre-recorded voice of Frau Schmidt.
Roof section closing! Roof section closing!
The deputy number 1 turns away from the sparking computer banks and moves towards me. A burst of machine gun fire envelops the woman, but it does nothing to delay her.
My God, Blunt exclaims. She's a fembot as well.
And like Big Bertha, it appears she is also bulletproof.
I must open the roof, she cries. Phase 2 of rockets launch will begin in 5 minutes precisely.
We grapple together, but the titanium fembot is far stronger than I am. Blunt ceases firing. He doesn't want to damage the roof control before the volcano is fully closed. Out in the silo, the rocket boosters are beginning to steam up. In the control room, the Fembot technicians are slumped over their monitors. All of them seem to have short-circuited. Frau Schmidt pushes me away and grabs hold of the roof control.
5 minutes, she screams.
All at once, there is a piercing, high-pitched whine. Blunt has activated the sonic oscillator on his watch.
And...
The deputy number 1 is badly disorientated. Her hand falls away from the control and she drops to her knees.
And go!
She slumps to the floor. I black out. The next thing I know, I am being carried through the corridors. Alarms are sounding. Pre-recorded tannoy announcements are screeching the length and breadth of the volcano. What's happening? I breathe.
Frau Schmidt fell through the window out into the rocket silo, Blunt informs me. With a little help from me, of course.
People are running madly about. Nobody is paying any attention to us. A set of metal stairs lead up to an access corridor. Blunt is running now. A big iron door is being opened in the side of the mountain. Other people have seen the danger and are evacuating the complex as speedily as possible. Blunt carries me out into the light, and just then there is a tremendous roar. In the silo, the rocket is attempting to take off. It rises a few meters into the air, crashes into the roof barrier, and collapses down into the base of the volcano. A ball of fire engulfs the interior of the mountain. Blunt is running now, as fast as he can, but a shockwave erupts from the tunnel entrance and knocks him flying. My circuitry is scrambled, and I black out a second time. I awake a few minutes later to find myself lying in the scorched grass. I pull myself to my feet, pat down my singed negligee, and look for any sign of Steve Blunt. I see him lying on his back, a few meters down the slope. I run towards him, but the ground shudders again, and I fly through the air, thumping down on top of him. His eyes open, and his blood-soaked face stares up at me.
"Darling, I never knew you cared."
He grins. I flip over onto my back, and am surprised when he rolls over on top of me. He is obviously not as badly hurt as I thought. I can feel something hard pressing against my stomach. Is that a diamond in your pocket?
"It certainly is."
He adjusts the coxton and smiles.
"But I am pleased to see you."
He takes out the diamond and holds it up in front of my face.
"We'll have to return this to the Institute at some point, but I don't think there's any hurry."
What about your mandroid duplicate? Blunt glances at his watch.
"He'll have arrived at the British Embassy by now. The ambassador can deal with him. The duplicate can't do any harm now that the satellite's been destroyed. His instructions were to gain access to the building and await developments."
A second explosion shudders behind us, and Blunt grips me tightly.
"I think he might have to wait quite a while. And since everyone will think he is me, it's unlikely I'll be missed for a few hours."
He puts the coxton away and shoots me a lascivious grin.
"It is Valentine's Day, you know, Miss Shagwell. And as you're free of your programming now, there's nothing to stop us taking up that reservation at the Hotel Splendide."
I blink in surprise. I'm just a pile of circuit boards. Why would you want to spend the evening with me? He unlaces the front of my negligee.
"Well, you do have a couple of points in your favour."
I blush reflexively. I may not live up to my name.
"Don't worry, darling. I almost never live up to mine."
Blunt reaches forward and kisses my neck. The ground shivers beneath us. He raises an eyebrow, and I let out a gasp of pleasure. "Oh, Steve!" That was I, Fembot, by Samantha Faulkner. Narrated by Alison Campbell. Copyright Sam Faulkner, 2016. For news of other titles in this series, visit the website fembotsally.com.